He is the Chancellor of Oakland Community College. Peter M. Provenzano Jr. joins us now on the MegaCast. Thank you for being with us, Chancellor.
Good morning, Ronnie and Tyler. How are you?
Doing well. How have you been?
Doing fantastic.
So over the course of the pandemic, obviously, education has changed significantly at all levels. How has the education of students at OCC been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, it's really interesting because we were already in process of creating more online programs and classes because that's what our students really asked for. But the pandemic just accelerated that. Literally, back in our winter semester, in a little over a week, we had 600 faculty convert 1,500 classes from face-to-face to a remote format. So we doubled down on online learning, and we were already in the process of doing that. And so we were able to do it very quickly, maintain the excellent quality that OCC is known for. And this was essential to keep all of our students on track and to keep them safe.
In terms of plans for the fall, how have the lessons that were learned during that quick transition as the pandemic took its toll on the state of Michigan and the United States, how has that transition, being that it was so quick and so swift, impacted the plans for fall?
Well, it's like anything, you do something once and then you learn from it. And that's the key here, is to learn from, so we did incredible work. We did surveys with our students. They seemed to be very pleased with how we reacted and pleased with the quality of courses in the winter. And it showed in our summer enrollment. Our summer enrollment was actually up, total credit hours was actually up over 6%, which is really phenomenal. As you know, many community colleges and universities saw enrollment declines. But we didn't just rest on our laurels. We really have spent the entire summer perfecting and improving those courses. Our faculty have been going through a number of professional development trainings to just continue to improve those courses, to improve the experience of our students, as well as, we've looked back and found ways to improve our online services. All of our student services are now being offered online. We continue to improve technology. We now have a chatbot that is available on our website. We're investing in VDI, which allows students to take courses from home and access the technology from home. And what we're talking about is very complicated software that was only available at the college and in our computer labs. Now they have the ability to access that from home. So we continue to invest in not only our faculty and our staff, but also our technology.
Are you seeing enrollment increase going into the fall, or do you anticipate it to increase? Because I know enrollment's open right now, as parents find out whether or not remote learning is going to be required on some of the larger campuses.
It's still too early to tell. Our enrollment just opened up a few weeks ago, and enrollment will be open through the end of August. And it's not unusual for students to kind of wait to the last minute, right? They're much like adults, we tend to wait. And so I'm still optimistic, though, because we saw a tremendous number of university students come to us this past summer because of all of the disruption at their campuses. And so we continue to see that. We continue to receive calls from university students. What's really interesting is we're actually hearing from university students who plan on going back to their campus, living in their dorm, and take online classes at OCC because they saw firsthand the quality of the classes, the fact that many times, so we have excellent full-time faculty, but oftentimes our adjuncts, our part-time faculty, teach full-time at the universities, and these classes transfer to the university. So we're seeing an uptick in interest as well as enrollment in that direction. But there's still a lot of students that we're seeing that are just kind of sitting on the sidelines, and they're holding off because there's so much uncertainty out there, not knowing whether they're going to have a job, is unemployment going to be extended, or their kids. Most of our students are part-time, and so their kids may be in school, and there's a lot of conversation and just debate as to whether or not K-12 is going to be going face-to-face, and if so, how long? And so there's a lot of uncertainty out there. The other thing is, and so we're aware of that, we're talking to our students to help them through so that they know that we're here. It's a great place to stay home, stay safe, and stay on track. And we have all of the resources available online to make sure that they are successful. The one thing that we are hearing quite a bit of is with the likelihood or the potential that K-12 students, so your kids may be taking classes from home. Everyone is trying to use the same computer, and there's a shortage of technology in many households. And so we have answered that. In fact, we're going to be announcing very soon that the first, I think it's like 3,500 students that register at OCC this fall will receive a free computer, a free Dell laptop. And we think that's going to go a long way to help them, not only incentivize them to come to OCC, but to help them with their technology needs as families are online and they're learning online.
How is that going to work with students that need to transfer the credits back to their universities? Or what if they want to sit out the semester while they're waiting to find out what's going on? Because I know your university, the great thing about it is that the price is so much cheaper.
Yeah, so we are the largest transfer institution in the state of Michigan. About 50% of our students that come to OCC transfer to a university. We have tremendously strong transfer agreements with, I'll say, all of the local universities, including universities around the country. And that keeps improving because universities see us as a tremendous feeder school to them. I think about 40% roughly of the local universities graduate students that transferred to them from a community college. And so our partnerships with universities are strengthening. More and more of our classes do transfer. But getting to your question, this idea, and you hear this conversation all the time about a gap year, because there's so much disruption, students are just overwhelmed. And I've heard some conversation about, well, I'm just going to take a year off. I'm going to sit on the bench, sit on the sidelines, and take a year off, take a gap year. I say, don't do it. Don't do it. There are so many ways that you can continue on with your academic journey, including coming to OCC. Take some classes with us. They'll transfer to the university when they open back up, and campus life is brought back. The reality is this: we're seeing a slowdown in the economy. Eventually, the economy will improve. It always does. And when the economy improves, employers will be hiring, and you're going to want to have that education. You're going to want to have that training, that certificate, that degree, so that you can land that high-paying job right away, and not be faced with, well, now that employers are hiring, I need to go back to school. That does not give you a competitive advantage.
Peter M. Provenzano Jr. with us. He is the Chancellor of Oakland Community College with us on the Oakland County MegaCast. So, Chancellor, you've spoken at length about the improvements that have been made to the online course material for Oakland Community College, and the work that's been put into that, and the extra incentive that's been put into making that as effective as possible as a result of the pandemic. In terms of fall education, some people learn better online, some people feel they learn better in person. What are the plans for the fall semester in terms of in-person, in-classroom learning? Is that going to happen at all at Oakland Community College at any of the campuses?
Well, what we have found is the best way to keep students safe, keep our faculty, students, and employees safe, and to provide high quality instruction is to offer as many online and remote classes as possible. So in the fall, that's what our focus is going to be on, mainly remote and online. We will have some hybrid, what we refer to as hybrid courses. And those are courses where, for example, a lecture will be offered online. But if there is a face-to-face component that is so difficult to teach online, for like culinary or police academy, welding, there'll be very limited activity on the campuses for those types of courses. And when students are on our campus, we're going to keep them safe. We're going to keep them socially distant, masked up. We'll have hand sanitizers. All the classrooms will be sanitized, after use. And so it's all about keeping students safe. Students want quality and they want certainty. With certainty, they want safety. And we think this is the best way in the environment that we're living in to provide all three of those.
Because so many of your students do only attend classes part-time and they work as well, do you think this model will remain in place post-pandemic?
It's very interesting. We were talking a lot about that. No one really knows, but what I do know is this pandemic is going to change everything, not only for education, but I think for society. There are so many things that are going to be different. I don't see us going 100% online all the time because, as you mentioned, Many students learn better face-to-face. So I see us continuing to offer face-to-face classes. But what we are learning is there are classes like auto lab that we never thought we could even teach in a hybrid format online. And we're finding creative ways to do that. And so I think what's really going to happen is students are going to have more variety. We're going to be offering more variety than ever before, which really helps access. There are many students that have transportation issues and aren't able to make it to class, or they work full time and they really want more online classes. So I really see in the future us continuing to offer face to face, but more online, more students are online. And I really think that's great news for the community as well as our students.
Chancellor Peter M. Provenzano Jr. from Oakland Community College is with us on the Oakland County MegaCast. Chancellor, you've mentioned before that there may be some additional students that will be enrolled at Oakland University potentially in the fall due to uncertainty with the universities. And with that comes a lot of people that are in a variety of different programs and in a variety of different points in their educational journey at these other colleges and universities. With the transition to mostly online learning, has Oakland Community College worked on developing or even has implemented more potential classes for the fall and going forward to provide more of that variety to people, knowing that there may be a larger group of people coming in with different educational paths?
Yes, and we were already on that track. Pandemic accelerated that, but in the future, we already have plans in place. So this summer, we've added, or I should say this fall, we've added more online classes. Over the next few years, not only are we adding more online classes, we're adding more 100% online programs. So you'll be able to, we'll offer more degrees that are able to be achieved 100% online. Because we're seeing a huge demand from students, especially those part-time students. As I mentioned, maybe the only time they have available to take a class is on a weekend, or maybe they work during the day and they want to take classes at night. This gives them so much more flexibility. And so we're building the infrastructure. And so I see us continuing to offer more and more online classes and student services as a convenience to our students.
Chancellor Peter M. Provenzano, the Chancellor at Oakland Community College, with us on the Oakland County MegaCast. So we're going into the fall, and the state's COVID-19 case numbers have started to level off a little bit. If we get a month or two down the road and Governor Whitmer brings us into phase 5, and we get a few months later and we maybe magically end up in phase 6, would there be any plans in place for Oakland Community College in the fall semester to have a return from a fully online to hybrid altogether or in-person classes? Or is that going to, or is it going to be all virtual and some hybrid, as you mentioned, for fall, and then the return transition would happen for the next semester over?
What I could see is if that miraculously happened, and I hope it does, we would then react to that in a positive way by opening up and creating more activity on the campus for our winter term. I don't see us, it's highly unlikely we would ever change the fall term, because what we've heard from our students is don't mess with my schedule. If I take an online class, keep it online. They really dislike what happened this past winter, understand that it was out of everybody's control where we had to flip face-to-face to online. So what we've heard from students is don't mess with the schedule, make a commitment for the semester. And that's exactly what we've done. If things loosen up in the fall, we'll definitely consider that for the winter term.
We've talked a lot about the students. What about your staff and the professors? How are they handling this, and will some of them return to the office setting?
Very limited return. And so we're allowing faculty to come back to their office if they need to pick something up, or some are doing online learning and they're doing video in our studio, so we'll have them come back to the campus. Again, if they're teaching in the fall a hybrid course, there may be some lab work that they'll come back and teach a class, keep everybody safe. But the thought is we've been very successful in providing online classes, online services remotely, with people working from home remotely. And I don't see any reason to change that. By bringing, the more people we have on campus, the greater the risk is that the virus will spread. And then, as you could see what's happening in the sports world and other companies, when you have a couple people that contract the virus, now there's a quarantine and you just lose momentum, you lose productivity. And so I really see our strategy really has been to keep everyone safe, students and employees, focus on remote learning, working from home remotely, and it's been working. It's been a tremendous success, and because of that, we've been able to keep people safe.
Question about the remote learning. Is it taped lectures that the student can go and visit at a later time, or is it appointment setting just as if they were going to class and let's say the professor is teaching it like in a live setting?
It can be both. We have classes that we refer to as online, and those are available to the student 24/7. So it's taped, and you can consume that education at any time that you'd like. And then we have other classes that we refer to as remote, where there is a scheduled time, maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday at a particular time. And that can be a face-to-face interaction. We call it synchronous, where a student may be expected to meet with the rest of their class, including their instructor, on a given day and time. And so we have times allotted for that schedule so that they can plan their schedule accordingly. Students like both. Some students love that face-to-face interaction, and so we're providing that online. Other students say, you know what, don't need that. I'm more than happy watching a video lecture, and I want to be able to watch it in the middle of the night if that's what I want to do. And so we're offering both.
Chancellor Provenzano, anything else for us today before we let you go?
I just want to just reiterate the fact OCC is an excellent place to stay home, stay safe, and stay on track. Do not think about a gap year. I think that's a really bad idea.
Well, we thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Appreciate it as well. Peter M. Provenzano Jr., he is the Chancellor at Oakland Community College.